Hello, and welcome to the Cancer Journey podcast. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Shariann.
And today we're going to be talking about the fragility of life. That is something that you think about a lot on a cancer journey, but also here at the Cancer Journey Institute, because the work we do is very deeply into the cancer community. It is very much a reality of what we experience. Let's get grounded and start with our PESH check-in. So Shariann, will you go first?
Yes. Okay. So physically, 4.2, emotionally, 4.3, spirit, 4.5, hope, 4.5. And my word for this moment is open.
Okay. Physically, I am a 4.5. Emotionally, I am a 4.3. Spirit is a 4.4. And hope is a 4.4. And my word is collecting. So, as we said in the beginning, we're going to be talking about the fragility of life. It's a very big topic on when we talk about cancer, because honestly, the first thing people think of when they think of cancer, when they're diagnosed or someone they love is diagnosed, is death. Immediately,
Mhm.
death. And when you're on a cancer journey, it feels that much more close.
Yeah. And fragility of life in terms of how we take for granted that we'll have another day, that we have time. And oof, you could feel this already welling up. It's like there's no promise. Like now is all that we have. And I can be really sensitive to this because in one of the groups that we're working with that are mostly our patients and survivors, is that someone has gotten the news that, there's nothing more that the medical realm can do. And it just, our hearts broke and are breaking, and it just brings everything like closer in. It's like, oh wow, we didn't think this yesterday, but today here's a new reality.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I feel like over the last year and a half, really, I mean, being in this work, we know that life is really fragile and really precious, and we want to empower people to live fully now. But it doesn't mean that we're not rocked by all of the pain that comes with cancer and with the people who come to us. A lot of times we find people when they are, or people find us when they're in a really desperate place, and or even people who are just like, I just it's very fresh, I'm freshly diagnosed, and I know that I'm going to need more than just the medical support, because I don't want to go through this with blinders on. I want to really understand what I'm going to experience. And so, whether someone is new or someone has been with us for years and years, the experience of cancer changes who we are throughout our life in different stages. And so, as a very empathetic company, we hold a lot of that. And as much as we seem very positive in the way that we present these things, it is also in recognition of the deep pain and the deep experience that our people are going through, and that we're going through it with them. We're not trying to shift them out of that feeling, but we are trying to make sure that they feel resourced and supported when they're ready to come out.
Right. And actually, what's kind of lovely, what you just said, is that while the medical system has not given up, but they just feel without, resources. I can't fix this. That there's kind of a feeling of ending, right? It's like, okay, so if I'm on this journey and I hear something like, we've done all that we can, it feels like there's a stop. That, like, the road has a block, and now where do I go? Where as a coach with somebody on this journey, it's like, we can be here with you till the end, which is whenever that happens. And that's a nice, like, ongoing support. It's like we just don't go, okay, we've done all we can, off you go. There is more of a, because we deal with the emotions, a strong connection, an intimate connection. And I think that's what the group and I are feeling. It's like, just because you got the news doesn't mean that we're done. It means, okay, now we're into another chapter, and we'll walk with you through that chapter. So there's this nice feeling of we're not, well, this is a horrible word, abandoning anybody or dropping anyone, but more a segue into the next stage. And that is something I think that we're well trained and skilled on. But it's also kind of refreshing to know that we can be there through all of the chapters if that serves our client and they want that. It also brings something a little closer to me. Well, before I move to that, it's so important that the client doesn't feel alone in this journey, because it's hard enough to be dealing with mortality, but then to feel like, uh-oh, now am I alone to deal with this? You're not alone. And that words are used a lot in talking about cancer and support. But here we are, and like we're literally holding hands with them, or figuratively. I mean, it can be over something like Zoom, but it could also be if you're in the same city and you could be there for your client. We're literally holding their hand, and there's something very special and honest and real about.
Yeah. I completely agree with all of this. I also just want to bring us like a little bit closer for our own experience, right? Because this is something that is still really fresh for us. And again, as an empathetic company, we feel it with them. We're not trying to force. So to recognize where it's landing for us and any triggers that come up too. And it's something that we talk to our coaches about as well as we go through training, right? Like this might happen for you because you've had an experience, a cancer experience before. It might be a client who's coming and bringing up these experiences and being told that they only have so long to live and things like that make it even really hard for the client, to even say out loud, and then for the coach to receive it. We train everyone to be able to hold that space and to kind of process some of the trauma that they have, though that's not what we do. We don't specifically enter into the trauma space so much with coaching and kind of diagnosing around that. What we really do is just the recognition of it and making choices around it. So us also having had cancer experiences as a patient, survivor, driver, caregiver, we know what it feels like to be in those spaces. And I mean, that's the reason that we have this company, right? Is because we want to hold people. We want to know that it's okay to be scared, terrified actually, of what's going to happen next. And we hold that fear too with them because we love our people so much and we really deeply understand that experience. So as it comes up for us as a company, it's something that we do take time to recognize for ourselves together and just kind of honor that experience and that life. I mean, even for you personally, Shariann, we've had people who have been clients or coaches or just people that we've worked with who you were there when they passed. They wanted you to be there too.
Right. Ooh, I just had something that I wanted to add, and it just flew out of my head. I mean, I'm very attuned to what you're saying, and it is an honor to be with somebody as they're passing. Oh, it is actually important to have a space for the the patient, caregiver. I mean, all clients to talk about death. I mean, we've done, podcasts on death and dying, but just this, we're not at it, we're closer, but just being able to talk about the fear. And you said, like, I don't remember the word you said, but like this intense, horrific fear. Of course, because it's the unknown of all unknowns. And while we hear stories of near death experiences or people's projection, or if you're deep in faith, what that says to you about the end. And it is really refreshing to talk about it without holding back. and having to take care of the person that you're saying it to just be able to say, this is what I'm really scared of. This is what I imagine it would be like. I don't know, but this is what I want. This is what I don't want. And just all of that without worrying about how am I impacting you with these words that I'm saying. And I think that's one of the beauties of being a coach is that freedom that they get. And then for us as coaches, to be able to still have a community that we can go to say, okay, I held space for my client and now I need to process it through so I don't hold on to it. And I like that type of setup, but that kind of structure where everybody is supported.
Yeah. I completely agree. I love what we do. I'm wondering if you're a little more willing to go to the experience that you had since you just got that news and it's so fresh and I agree that it's such an honor to be in a space where we can know, because there are so many people that when they get information like that, when they get news like that, it makes them feel really small and it makes them feel
Mhm.
like their life doesn't matter and it makes
Mhm.
them feel like they don't have impact, which is why it's also such an honor to just know that they got that. Like, I don't need to be the one who they tell, but to be in like holding the conversation, be able to like carry on and hold just like knowledge and space in my mind and my being for them and like being able to hold it in a loving way it's such a special thing. And I know that you have empathy really high, so you really viscerally feel along with people. And I mean, again, that's why the Cancer Journey Institute was created. Yeah, I kind of want to just talk a little bit more or get a little bit more clarity about how it hits you, just because I feel like there's been many
Mhm.
moments over the past year and a half that have been really hard, and we talk about how much we like the shift and how we hold space for it, but like I want to be like with you in that feeling right now and just have a little time for it.
Okay, a couple of things come up. One is part of the reason why I started the cancer journey, which is I really did want to talk about death and dying, not because it was imminent, but because I knew that it was part of the equation. And then there's this other part here where I was talking to the team yesterday, and we were talking about us processing the news and how we are empathetic, just everybody's empathetic to some extent, and so that's part of being human, and how we're so feeling sorry for that person, so we become sad, we become sorrowful, and yet we miss that opportunity with the individual. Perhaps now I'm shifting to a different perspective of actually talking about their life in a lens of, yeah, I'm scared. And can I look back at my life and appreciate the joys and the impact that we think that we've had, even if that is, I helped somebody cross the street the other day who was struggling, or I helped somebody with their grocery. It's just the little things we forget. So processing it with the coaches felt like, let's remember that we have impact even in the little things, and that one of the things that we do as coaches is, while we don't meld with our clients, we do show a certain level of love. And so that is important to just say. We don't fall in love with our clients, but we do love them. They're valuable, mattering human beings. Okay. So that's on that side. Coming back to my experiences, I really couldn't talk to family and friends about just the concept of dying, because they were like, no, 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 don't be positive. We want you to be positive because we don't want to let in any of that negative energy while you're going through the treatment journey. And so I said, okay, so not them, so who? And so then I went, okay, there's support groups, they must be talking about this. So I would go to a support group, and even within the support group there was still the fear of talking about that intimate a thing with a group that, was just coming together. It was more like, well, these are my numbers, which I couldn't understand everybody else's numbers. And so to me, it was just more surface talk. And I just wanted to get deep into what I was, the questions in my head and what I was feeling and what I was afraid of. So then I went to a therapist, and no knock on therapist. I still love my therapist, but she said something to me once, and it was, she said, I can't possibly imagine what you're going through. And as much as I loved her because she was excellent at what she did, it was like, oh, I don't I don't feel met here. And so when you said we've all been through a cancer experience, whether as a caregiver or as a patient and being a survivor, that made a difference. That makes a difference. And not just that you've had the experience of cancer, but that you have also had the training to meet me without taking on my stuff. It's like just having the experience is helpful, but having the training to know how to hold me and talk to me was so much more important. And I had, at the time, I was doing corporate coaching at a company, and my partners, while they did never had cancer, could hold the space. Still never felt safe enough to say everything until I found another, somebody else who had the wherewithal to do it. And so I said, I need this. I guess we have to create it because it's ridiculous. That's a strong word. It's unfair. Maybe that's not the right word either. To go through this experience and not be able to have an outlet or a place where you can just talk about the fragility of life and not have somebody judge you, want to move you, want you not to speak about it, or have them impact.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think I love that your differentiation between all the different people that you went to, because I think that's a very, very common experience that a lot of people are having. And so what we bring here and what makes us unique, right? We're not solving cancer. We're not trying to diagnose anyone. We're not addressing mental illness. We are addressing the person who is here in front of us now, how they are, and really trying to understand what they want and help guide them to get there. It is such a unique space to be here because anyone who's had cancer in their life in some capacity does have much more empathy and insight. It's that collective experience of just knowing what it's like to have cancer in your life that really brings us together. And what's beautiful too is that throughout coaching or throughout training, our coaches really do learn too that like their experience matters, but that's not the exchange that you're having in these conversations. It's not that like, oh, I have a tip for you as someone who's experienced cancer before, or let me tell you what to do because I've been through it before. It's only coming from the heart of someone who's been there. And so you can really say things like, I'm terrified of dying, or like, I'm scared it's gonna really hurt. I don't know what to expect. There's so much fear there. There is, I'm completely dissociating because I'm just letting it happen because I'm just trying to get through it. Or like, I love my family, but they don't get it. They don't get it because they are on the caregiver side and they're a little bit more fresh. And what we say about the cancer journey roadmap is that the caregivers tend to be just behind the patient on the journey. And so if they're not in the same stage as you, it can be really hard to communicate about where you're at because they just can't understand somewhere they haven't been yet. So to have a cancer journey coach who is there to support you and hear you and offer exactly what you need in that moment. They're not there to tell you what you need by any means. They are there to meet you exactly where you are. And a lot of times you show up and you're like, I don't know where I am. I don't really know. And you don't have to. Your coach will pull it from you. You don't have to do heavy lifting as a client. You're not there to do really heavy work of figuring it out yourself. Because it's one thing to figure out how to do something and another thing to do it. Your coach is there to be like, here's the next step and where we're going. Here's what I'm hearing you say, just completely based on what you're giving me. And this is what I hear. How does that feel? How does that resonate with you? And you get to yes or no and continue to go forward with whichever direction feels right for you. But your coach is completely taking your lead on it and is completely giving you only what you need. You can say to your coach, actually, I don't need that one. I want to go this way. And they'll go, okay, let's go. Like, I'm here to hold your hand along it so that you can feel stronger along the way.
Great sentence. Great sentence. Like, I want you to say it again because that's really important.
Yeah, I don't even remember the words that I just said. See, this is a good example. And then, like, the magic and the speaking, right? Because I said it, but I don't know exactly the words I said. I always find it hard for people to say, repeat what you said. I'm like, I don't know. But if you were listening, you would know. And that's what your coach does. Your coach listens to what you say and will just say it back to you. They'll either say, sometimes they'll say the exact words because they're like, these are the words you're speaking to yourself, especially when it's a negative ego voice and it's really mean and it'll tell you all these things you should be doing. That's just, it's so nice to have a coach who will either reflect back the mean things you're saying to yourself and be like, wow, I said that, and that's what I'm telling myself. Or summarize what you're saying to really make sure they deeply understand you and reflect back everything that you're exuding out there. Because it
Yeah.
shouldn't have to be such a lift. Like you shouldn't have to continue to overanalyze what you're putting out there, right? You're not like, okay, what did I just say? Did I mean it? Blah blah blah. Like your coach can help you get more full and more whole so that what you feel like you are putting out there is what you want to feel internally as well. And so then there's more balance and alignment in who you are inside and out.
So if I could just, I'm not going to say the exact words because I can't remember either, but the essence of what you said that I loved so much was that your coach is there to kind of help you draw out what's really living inside of you so that you are stronger. Like when we hold things, it's almost like a secret. But when you, magic in the telling, say it out loud, it's like here, right here. And you're like, oh, I know that. I said that. Wanted to add one more thing that I think is really key here in the whole topic of fragility of life and death and what's beyond that is I think one of the scariest parts is that it ends, is an ending and not an ending that you even know what's going to happen after. But what you know is this that you do know this house, this being, these people, these things, all of it is gone. And that is like, then what? Because I'm attached. I'm attached to my people. I'm attached to my stuff. I'm attached to this particular life. And if that ends, well, I'm sad about that because there was joy and there was love and there was connection and there was challenges, but there was learning and growing and all of that. It's like, does that just end?
Yeah. But I'd
Is
also
that too provocative a question to leave them with?
I don't think so. I think also though with attachment, it's because we're fearing what we don't know, right? We only know attachment to these things. We only know this life, and so that the fact that there could be literally anything on the other side of it is scary. And so it's the fear is so understandable, but I'm getting like Buddhist kind of teachings of detachment in my head, but that's not what this is about. But I don't think that's too provocative, but it's interesting and something we don't often even want to think about is our attachments. And not even like psychology would go more attachment styles of like avoidant or I don't know, all the different attachment styles. I think that's a completely different thing than the attachment we're talking about now. Similar elements, a similar draw, but I think that attachment is a it's an interesting one to consider, especially because anyone who's listening to this right now, it's like I don't have to worry about it. I have I am alive right now, and it's so then it becomes a claim of living in the moment and appreciating what's here.
Right. Right. And it is the essence of saying goodbye. So what I'm noticing is I'm being very coach-like. So asking the provocative question and then putting it right there in front. It's like, what is it to say goodbye? I want to leave it at that. That's my takeaway. And so my PESH, because I'm really like, ooh, swimming in this new perspective and contemplation. Physically, I'm 4.4, emotionally 4.6, spirit 4.75, and hope 4.8. And this questioning and I know it should not I should be done, but it's like bringing how precious life is to me in this moment. So my word is precious.
My takeaway is that life is fragile. Life is very fragile, but that does not mean that you shouldn't live. It means that the time is going to pass anyway, so you get to choose how you're going to spend it and how what really matters to you. So for me, it actually feels like, even though it can feel like this to be thinking about life, I actually think it comes down to this. It comes down to you and just what matters here right now, because you have so much more power than you realize. I was also thinking that a coach walks along with you in the same way that, like, a lot of times people have a hard time going out by themselves, going out to enjoy nightlife, to enjoy a meal, to go to the park. Like, they always feel like they need someone to go with them, or they won't go at all. I mean, myself included, I'll totally say that I find it hard to go every place alone. I'll do a lot of things alone, but there are some things that I just really rather have someone else with me. And a coach is the exact same way. So having a coach really becomes invaluable in opening up the opportunities and options to how you live your life, because there are things that you think that couldn't possibly do alone, but you can, and you're not completely alone in doing them. And so I think for me, that's a little bit of a different spin on the "you are not alone" sentence. And then my PESH. Physically, I am a 4.5. Emotionally, I'm a 4.4. Spirit is a 4.4. And hope is a 4.4. And my word for right now is honored. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be back next week for another episode.
A lovely rest of your day. And as Alicia said earlier, and I'll say it again, you are so much more powerful than you realize.